Okay, I need to be here.
Let me take this because this is what I think I need to make it. So I hope you had a great time today. We did some really interesting stuff. Thanks to Ksenia. I really appreciate you moderate our discussion. I think that's what's fun about what we are doing. Ksenia just raised it, I think, last week, and Ming said yes. That's it. Today we're gonna have Ksenia, dear friend. She's multiplayer. She's also gonna talk about Web3 marketing transition and also pitch her startup, her company. And we have Pablo. Pablo is our early adopter. He showed up at the door 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. Said, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" And I was explaining him. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna come next week, and I'm also gonna bring my kid." I said, "Okay, bring your kid." And then Sincere, I think, is a big fan. So thank you, Pablo, for pitching your NFT project, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. He's a filmmaker, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah. So we have a very diverse people. I think it's the first time. It's only, I guess, I hope you didn't lie to me, guys, but everybody's here is doing something in Web3. It's not just, yeah, I'm interested, I don't know what the fuck are you doing, what is the NFT? It seems like there are really interesting people here with a lot of great vibes, and I felt it with our discussion. It was amazing. First time that I did it, at least, so I feel I really appreciate what you did to Ksenia. And by the way, Ksenia is part of our core team, so this is workaround, but basically we are shifting to something a little bit different, which is the original idea that I and Martin had. Martin, the South African guy, a dear friend of my brother, and I met him and we created Web Lab, which was, we didn't understand why people are buying monkeys for $500,000, so okay, let's figure it out, what the fuck. We're both coming from tech. Martin looks very young, but he has 30 years, right? 25 years experience in tech. So when I was a kid playing with Pascal, you remember Pascal? Some guys you know. He was working on tech. So, and that's how we started. And then through Warground, and I'm gonna tell the whole story. But now we have a core team, Nico, stop using the phone, Martin, Cosmin, Ming, Shira as a creative. And basically we said, okay, let's do some crazy shit. That's what we said on Saturday, and we're gonna bring more deeper programs to you guys. So the first hackathon already started last week. We're gonna introduce more. Ming is gonna invite people really interested to do dev nights. So it sounds a little bit peculiar, but basically how can we learn together and experiment with the technology as developers. We're gonna have a more immersive programs like today, which is gonna be themed based. But that's more in the future. We are creating a DAO. Ksenia is creating our Discord. Right now it's only the core team, but if you really want to be involved, talk with one of us. And the basically is to connect, collaborate, and find new ways to experiment with Web3. And I'm really excited that you are here today because this is going to be, I hope, like somebody going to say enough here. I was in the first event of Web Lab, and now this NFT project, gonna call Rat Lab, is like huge, and I was in the first meeting. So if you want to get involved in what we're doing, hackathons, movie nights coming soon, lab days, experiments, find your co-founder. I'm not saying making love, but probably some people are into making love. It's also, I'm not recommending, but might happen. Nico and Martin met here, and they're co-founders, so everything is possible. We want to try to make it professional, but also bring some culture. So that's why we're bringing movie nights. So we had one 2 weeks ago. We watched 2 movies, and then we ended up with discussion and a beer. It was really fun. So we're gonna start with Ksenia, Web3 marketing. I'm gonna introduce Ksenia. She sent me her intro because I don't remember. I have 3 kids. We have 3 kids. So I'm gonna reach for my phone to introduce her. So basically, first, Ksenia is an amazing person. I met her, and then she invited me to her birthday party, and we realized she lives across the street, like literally. We can see her house.
My aunt.
Still, it was really fun. And then we started to a little bit hang together. Another meeting, I said, hey, can you pitch what you're doing and tell about marketing? She said, yeah, sure. And that's what I like about this vibe. So she has experience, 10x experience, I don't need to read it really. 10x experience in marketing, offline, different kind of campaigns and companies and tech. I think this is it's the second iteration of your startup because you had another one, right? So she in this kind of game for long term. She knows something about marketing and Web3 and marketing, and she's gonna share. And later on, she's gonna pitch her idea. And then Pablo, but we're gonna probably take a small break. And if you're into alcohol, I think we can try now, Shira, but we have beers, so you can feel free. I think we're here until 6 max, but we're gonna fold the place at 5. So but you can still hang around. If you are not in our Telegram group, you have to. So
it's mandatory.
It's mandatory. Then if you want to go deeper the rabbit hole and the wonderland they're trying to create, our web lab, talk to one of us. And you can come with a crazy idea.
And yeah, let's build the local Web3 community as you guys envision it, right? Yeah. So not as we envision it, as you.
I'm gonna say last sentence. Sorry if I'm stealing because I'm very excited about this day. The thing is, I had a discussion with Martin 2 weeks ago, 3 hours into the night, and this is another whole conversation. But the idea was, we're in the bear market right now. Everybody is under-resourced. Everyone is a small team, maybe you're only sole entrepreneur. Very risky, very unpredictable, and the only way, if you look through human history, to survive those times is to collaborate. That's the only way. So if you try to raise money, I've been in this game and we have a few people here who's trying to raise money. It's fucking hard. If you don't have the network, the friends. So that's why we are creating this space, because I believe if we can come together, co-learn, co-create, the probability for you to find your next teammate, friends, partner, pitching your idea, getting feedback from real potential users is here. And by the way, I'm also talking with few VCs to participate and fund some of those programs. So don't expect millions, but if we're thinking about creating like a program for Gen Z, we're going to find some money. It's going to help you to start or to continue what you're doing. So this is like kind of an open roadmap that we are working on. And that's it. So Ksenia, you're next.
Hello, hello. You hear me well?
Yeah.
Really close.
Very close.
Yeah.
Do I need to eat the mic?
Yeah.
Okay. Not used to that, but let's try today. Well, thank you, Sharon, for a nice intro, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here, guys, and share my knowledge. Indeed, I have about 10 years of experience in marketing from offline to online, and actually I'm coming from a really strongly regulated industries with millions of turnover. I haven't seen Interpol in my office like my business partner did in Israel, but I can tell you something. Because you know, every second person is a marketeer in general. And I hope that after this lecture you will know more than them. So yeah, let's begin this journey, because you know, right now we're shifting from Web 2 to Web 3. And it is not an easy transition. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, and actually present a point of view of MDNX, my startup, and my team behind. So we can learn from the past and create a better version of the web. So how many ads do you see per day? And that's the question to you guys. So let's play a little bit around. So we have 4 options here. First one, less than 500 ads. 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000. So please raise your hand if you think that it's less than 500. Okay, well, 5 people. 1,000. Okay, that's pretty, no, it's a bit more, 5,000. Okay, and 10,000. Ooh, okay. Well, actually,
Go big or go home.
I mean, I think it's pretty equal. So some people like 1,000 to 5,000. So that's something in between. And actually, there is no like one right answer because actually COVID has impacted a lot the transition from Web 2 to Web 3. So and also the advertising market, of course, because we were sitting more online. So actually, on average, before COVID, we were seeing 5,000 ads per day. And due to COVID, it increased to 10,000. So you can imagine. The next question is, did you ever have a situation when you think about something and then you see an ad about it? Please raise your hand if you were, okay. I love how people start laughing at this question because I think that's exactly how we feel. But I'm going to reveal a secret to you. No one is spying on you or watching you or listening to you because, like this kind of regular situation when you're with your friend, calling via phone and then you pronounce something and then you start seeing ads. Actually, it's quite a psychological effect, because we see a lot of things per day, but we don't process. Our brain doesn't process everything. But once you say it, your brain fixes it. And then you start paying attention to it. But actually from the marketing side, we have all these technologies and algorithms that do produce the content, they do retarget you, and they do follow you. So you can see several times the same content, maybe in a different form, but that's what actually happens.
It's good to know that Siri doesn't spy.
Right?
Yeah. I can sleep at night. Yeah.
Please do. Yes, please, guys, because a lot of people are asking me this question, and I'm always saying that technology is not there yet. And right now we're going to deep dive more into the history of programmatic, of the technology, so you can really understand that no one is listening to you.
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, it's also going to be in the presentation, so not yet, but regulations are coming, So.
Nice.
To be honest, tech is a very messy market. And let's go back into history. 1994. So actually, that is the time when the first banner was put on the web. And actually, it was done at Hotwire magazine. It was sold for $30,000 to hang there for 3 months. That was the first price. And basically how it was working, brands, they discovered this opportunity, and publisher is actually the owner of the website, or right now we have more channels, publishing channels, but at that time it was just, web and the website. And how it was done, brand was negotiating by phone, with the publisher saying, oh, can I buy it, for this X money, and then sending it to the publisher, so publisher would manually upload it on his website. And I actually have a funny story for you. It's a real story from .com era. It's coming from our advisor, Neil. He sold the banner in the UK, one of the first persons who actually sold banner in the UK. So he was on the phone with his client saying so do we confirm the deal, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, sure, so please send me your banner. And the client was like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna send you a fax. Swear to God, that's how the web started, and that's how hilarious it was, because no one knew what was going on. What is the banner? Why should it be on the website? Someone just paid 30K, and someone is asking to fax the banner. How ridiculous is that? But not a long time after, it was 1995, also the year when I was born. There was an appearance of the ad server. So ad server is actually the first move towards, more programmatic advertising, because then there was this technology that could connect and integrate with the publisher side. So you don't have to call anymore. You could just have your server and change your creative material. So for instance, you want another banner. So you just want to test another banner and you want to hang it, but you don't want to call, or for instance, you have several people. You don't have only one publisher, you have different people. How would you manage all of that? So then you needed this centralized solution to actually host your creative material and change it. So, and the integration is called server to server, which is actually still widely used. I don't know. And it's gone, Sharon. I need to reload.
It's
Yeah, that's fine. Help me. I don't know. And it's 2022, Sharon, and we still have issues with showcasing the presentation. Yeah, it's a bit.
There's something weird here.
Yeah, I think it stopped being optimized to the screen. Yeah, we can try. Yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Let me do like this.
Yeah, will work.
I see it's still well.
Ah, okay. It's not fixed.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit not optimized, but it's okay. I'm gonna move it. Anyway, so the next step is actually 1996, and that's when ad network started appearing. And ad network is actually the main programmatic middleman. They had administrative agreements with publishers and advertisers, so the brands. So they were kind of in the middle. You know, some brands are lazy; they don't want to do something on them by themselves. I think it's still the case these days. And there was still the manual transfer of files. So basically, the brand would give the creative material, to publishers and it, or like using the ad server. So that was like a combination of everything. And the main characteristics of ad network is also the fixed price. So they were already charging the price and negotiating the price in advance with the publisher, saying this is what I pay you for clicks. And that network could already define their margin in advance. So that's also happening today. So you could see, like the advertiser brand and some, manual transfer. I call them the margin hunters, because they do hunt for the margin. So if we go back to the history and to see how it was actually developing. So we had the ad server, then we got the ad network, then we started looking into more advertising side. And Yahoo appeared in 1996, 1997, so then the search ads started appearing, so you could relate, to the first search engines. Google came to the market, and then there was some time, that technologies were not yet developed, so it was still kind of consistency of several ad servers. Ad networks started scaling up. And then the first ad exchange came to the market, so I'm going to talk a little bit more what ad exchange is. But you can relate to Google, so Google is the one that has ad exchange behind the scenes. And actually it was not Google that created ad exchange, it was actually DoubleClick. And it was the beginning of 2000. And then we went to the development of the video advertising. So that came with the launch of YouTube. Actually, YouTube was a pioneer of video, and then we started getting these new formats of advertising. In banner ads, it's actually those kind of ads that you see on the website. So that's called in banner. And the video itself, it can also be in banner ads. So it's just a different type of passing the information, passing the data. But you see sometimes a player that's stuck, you have to press on it, or it's already auto-playing. So there are different formats of the video, but that's when it started growing. And I would like to also pay your attention to the rise of mobile, because that's when we got to also another interesting part is the rise of fraud. So sorry, you can't see that, but that's 2015 and until present, we're still fighting with fraud. And it's really connected with mobile, because I can also tell a story, I've been working in mobile subscriptions for some time, and you had a lot of apps, especially on Android devices. So Apple is a really secure system, so operating system, but Android not. So on Google Play Store, whoever you are, even right now, we can create something and drop it in a Google Play Store. So there were a lot of Asian apps, and especially the ones that, scan your documents, or upload some files. So it's some kind of apps that, you can do your operations with, but then you have some ads there. And even if you don't click them or just touch, you can auto-subscribe for something. So there was an era of auto-subscriptions, and with mobile operators, it was pretty hard for people to even realize that you do get charged $1, $3, $4, you just don't notice it on your mobile bill. And then like after the years, you sum up and you spent like thousands of euros, you know, on something that just doesn't make sense. And basically those apps, what they did, they were putting you out into the browser from the app. They were auto-subscribing you and returning to the app. So it could be like milliseconds, you know, you can't even notice it. But basically, we will talk a little bit more about the fraud and how we got to where we are right now, because as I said, the fight is still going on and it's a huge problem of the advertising and security. Yeah? Did you fix the print?
Yeah.
Here's the tech guy, you know.
You know.
Awesome, thank you. Well, yeah, I think that, yeah. Okay. Now I'm happy. Now you can see my full screen, because then there will be a lot of things and it's good that you see it. So let's come to the programmatic advertising. So this is everything you need to know about it. And programmatic is actually a synonym for automatic. So it's basically a machine-based system that is purchasing ads. As simple as that, you know. So it's not like some programming. No, it's not. But it's automated purchase. And you know, we are all like business people a little bit, I guess. So let's go back to economics terms. We have always demand and supply. Someone wants to buy, someone wants to sell. So in the end, let's come to this part. If you're an audience, you're coming to publisher, like a website or whatever, and a publisher is actually using supply-side platform. That's a platform that lets publisher manage his websites, if you have several ones, manage his creative material. On the demand side, you have like agencies, you have brands, but they're using demand-side platform. The same mechanism, and you can relate to these entities in the flow like they're sales representatives. They represent you in a digital world for purchasing or auctioning. And then you connect through the ad exchange. And ad exchange is actually ML-based, high-frequency technology. High frequency, I mean, techie people can understand, but it's actually when, in a second, the system can process a lot of requests, and it can be like 100,000 and more. So it's a very high frequency technology. It does the automated auction, bidding on the spots, and delivering creative material from the publisher side to the advertiser side. So that's basically the whole flow. Ad exchange is basically the highest level of technology in advertising because it's a fully automated and a fully transparent one. That's how we call it. And basically, if you're looking at the whole web, and you can imagine, like, our web consists of like hundreds and hundreds and thousands and millions of websites, apps, and everything. So in order to serve every person in the world, and we have around 5 billion users at this day, you can't do it manually anymore, of course. And otherwise, you know, sometimes you come to the website and, you know, the ad is empty, so it's either like an error or it's just, it was not served. So ad exchange is the one that's actually solving this problem and always serving the ad for right audience. Right now we're going to dive into some terms that you don't know, but I want to really pay attention because that's something really important and something that people don't know at all. Let's start with 1995, GS, JavaScript. That was actually the first integration how you could place the banner ad on the website. They were using JavaScript. And not much time later, there was an iframe. That's like another type of integration when you're actually wrapping up your creative material in HTML. So it's still coding. But then the arrival of VOST, and VOST is actually came with the video advertising. So it's basically a standard, a protocol how to pass video to the website. VPate is a more secure version of VOST. Then we got to pre-bid JavaScript. That's basically already kind of combining the formats. If you look at GS, it's only banner. iframe is only banner. And then you go to VOST VPate, it's only video. When pre-bid GS is actually letting you, as a publisher, auction your spots for both video and banner. And then we arrived to OpenRTB. It's a real-time bidding protocol. It's the latest protocol and it's the only one that's existing right now until today. And that's the one that's actually, it doesn't care what kind of creative is there, audio, video, whatever. it just passes it in and it uses entry points. So it's more like an API integration. Why it's important? Because that's how it works, you know? Like if you want things to work properly, you need the proper connections and proper integrations. Otherwise things are not gonna work, you're losing money and a lot of things can go wrong. So I would like right now, I mean this is also looking really complicated maybe for some people, but let's take just a really easy example. When you come to the website and you as a user, like you're loading the page. While you're loading a page, this is everything that happens. So actually the server of a publisher, you remember the SSP side, it makes a call, like, you know, call to the ad exchange saying like, hey, I have like this person coming, he is interested in that and that, serve me something. And then the publisher side and the ad exchange side is making a call to the bidder. And the bidder is the one that is a real-time decision-making engine that is processing and understanding which brands could actually potentially fit in it. Once the auction is done, so it's basically, you have the auction, you have the bidding, then you have a win request. And it's also the request that has to be passed by through the system, so you can see it like, there is a win notice, so it's settlement price as well, so everything is like decided, you know, it's arranged, but it doesn't mean it's gonna happen, huh? So, and you get to the point when the server of the advertiser is delivering the material, the creative material, to your user interface. And then it also gives the request back that's saying like, hey, it was served, it was fine, or maybe it's an error. And actually this is everything what happens in a millisecond. So you can understand like the complexity and how fast and high frequency ad exchange is. And let's come to the Web 2. So basically, regardless of this ecosystem that I showed you, you know, we have platform economy and alternative economy. So in general, like Web 2 is characterized as a platform economy. And actually, you can see that Google or even Facebook, well, actually it's not really correct because Facebook does not have an ad exchange. That's another interesting part. But for instance, Google, they do have SSP, they have a DSP, they have an ad exchange. But people don't ever think about it, that actually there are a lot of technologies behind that are all controlled by Google. And as a result, for instance, publisher, you know, like I'm always feeling bad for publishers because they're the guys who are like, you know, putting so much work into what they do, you know, applications, websites, and they don't get the right compensation. Because Google takes around 40% of margin from them, and it's like, it's crazily big money. Even though like the market share of Google and Facebook is still big, and a lot of people are using them, you know, there is an alternative ecosystem that exists. And you can see it's quite messy and consists of a lot of custom solutions. So it's not actually that simple that, you know, you have like one solution, like if you're an agency or even if you're a brand, sometimes you have like 4 to 5 ad exchanges because some of it has this kind of features, this kind of integrations, this kind of formats. So there is no like holistic solution that can support everything and give you this like gateway to the programmatic digital advertising. So in the end, like, you know, both ecosystems, like platform one and an alternative one, they're very data abusive. They're very messy, they're very non-transparent. And that's like, you know, that's what happened in Web 2. Another important thing from here is actually, it's not only about like these integrations that are happening, it's in the whole ecosystem because you can see like how many connections are there, and it also results in a lot of data loss. So basically 80% of ad budget, it goes to the middleman and fraud. Middleman, like Google, Facebook, it's a middleman in the end. But here as well, due to all this like mess, it happens fraud. And I think like that's another interesting part of the algorithms that, you know, a lot of people are thinking like and trying to study, you know, what is the algorithm of Facebook, what is the algorithm of Google, you know, how can we make our campaigns more successful? And you can understand it, but in the end, I can tell you that for platforms, algorithm is unknown, and some platforms don't even know their algorithm because it was built so long time ago. You remember the history of when ad exchange was built. Who was documenting anything? I mean, they don't know. And if you don't know algorithm, you can't optimize. It's like, this is kind of an endless loop where we got. So in the end, right now, even if you talk to Facebook support, Google support, they will say, spend my budget and you will reach your audience. Like, does that make sense? I mean, yes, it does, but I don't know. But for alternative ecosystem, we do know our algorithms. And we still have ML-based core that does all this targeting match. We can also set manual waterfalls. Waterfall is actually the one that you understand, this is my demand, this is my supply, and I can manually say that I want this to go here. And then after that, you can also turn on automatic one. So based on your manual one, automatic is gonna even like optimize it more. A question. Do you prefer to look at image or watch a video? But you don't need to respond to, no, it's a rhetorical question. I mean, I've been working in adult, so I've been working in porn. And I mean, I know that in general, like video, it's the most engaging content that you can get, even if you don't look at the Pornhub. But I would like to take a moment and actually think of some ad formats, you know. Because, okay, banner is the first one that appeared, you know, then we got to the video one, and video started rising in the past 10 years like crazily, because it's more engaging content, it's also educative, and there are a lot of benefits for you to use video anywhere. Audio format is the one that has been growing as well in the past years. So I guess you know Clubhouse, once it's launched, already in the market, you know, we've been talking about what is the future of audio advertising. And the problem of audio is still that there are not that many publishers who can support this type. Even though it has a big potential and it's considered to be growing like super big in the next years, still we see that the market is not really mature yet for audio advertising. And then you have native advertising. So that's the one that, if you remember the beginning of our lecture, you know, the question of how many ads you see and you're like so surprised, 10K, oh my God, it's impossible. It is possible because native advertising is the one that you don't notice. It's seamless. Some advertising, it's like, sometimes it stays on the website and you think that it's a content. So the pioneers of native advertising is actually the ones that were putting some little articles. So it exists in the form of an article, so you have like a creative material such as an image, you have a title, you have the text under it. It looks like real, you know, it looks like an article, but actually it's an advertising. And currently we have more and more like formats that are becoming more native, more seamless, and non-intrusive. That's a very important point. Coming to the devices part, we have desktop, of course, you know, so desktop, everyone has a PC. You have mobile web and an app, which is actually two different things. There's two different integrations. So why I was actually talking about integrations, that it's not only like that, okay, you set up one thing and you can deliver advertising anywhere. No, every step matters. It matters the integration, it matters the formats, it matters the device. And device also has to be supported. So mobile web and an app is two different integrations. And then you have a nice group, and it's one of my favorite groups, to be honest. It's OTT, over the top. So it's connected TV and game consoles. So the rise of OTT has been dramatic in the past 2 years. The yearly growth is like doubling. And because, you know, TV was the first advertising on TV like in 1941. So that's how we all started, you know, like, okay, with the TV, and then you had some like magazines, actually native advertising magazines, you can relate it a little bit as well. But yeah, it's getting more programmatic because, you know, on TV as well, you sometimes have people, like actual people, who are sitting and putting the ads manually. When there is like, you know, they have a time, they're sitting, is like, okay, what do we serve? So it's still not automated process, and it's getting programmatic only right now. And of course, with the rise of smart TVs, the ones that are connected to the internet. And the recent environment, of course, for us, it's VR, AR, with the boom of Web3. Even though VR exists for about 30 years as well, you know, like the first VR classes were like last century. It's still quite a new environment. And the integrations there is still quite a custom ones. What we need to think about more, but a bit later on this matter. Another part is ad revenue models. So, okay, it's all facilitated by the revenue models. And let's go over all of them. So CPM, cost per mil, it's basically cost per 1,000 impressions. And this model is widely used in programmatic advertising because honestly guys, we don't track anything else. We track only impressions. And actually it was the first model that's used for media buying, so this kind of term. Then you have CPC, it's a cost per click, so you click, they pay you. You have a CPL, you have a CPA. And that's CPI, we can also relate a little bit to this group because that's basically some action that you take. So CPL is a lead, and also like in the industry, I mean, when you're negotiating, some people treat it differently. CPA could be CPL, but in general, like, you know, in this kind of academic terms, because it's a lecture today, CPL is like actually when you leave your details. So like email, your name, you know, so you're becoming a lead for a company. That's a CPL. And CPA is normally, it's an action. So you might have purchased something. Or like in the gambling industry, because I'm also coming from a gambling industry, we have deposits. So for instance, you come to casino, you deposit $100, I get my CPA of 500, for instance. So that was the margin that we were making, like an affiliate networks and ad networks. They still work, they still exist in the market, and especially in the closed industries like gambling, adult, and crypto. Crypto is working on the CPA, guys, and you know there are also two types. You have regulated, you have non-regulated. And when you have unregulated crypto, you have to pay $1,000 for a person who deposits 100. That's basically marketing, how you got to miners, but you hope that you are gonna get more money from this person. Or like Forex, that's the best one. So my business partner is from Forex background. That was the same story, you know. So in the end, like those models, they could be considered as a middleman model. They're the ones that are just taking margin, and that's not really fair, huh? And the world is not fair. Unfair world, that's why Web3, we're trying to change that. Coming to the metrics part, so I would like to make a little comparison between marketeers and ad operations. So if you're a marketer here and you're dealing with analysis of your KPIs and everything, so you track impressions, right, as the ad views, you're looking like how many people saw your advertising. Some of you might have been tracking viewability, so it means that the percentage of the ad, how viewable it was. So it's like, you know, it could be on the website, but it could be here, you know, on the website, like you see it only half, so it would be 50% viewability. So sometimes, like when you work with some advertisers, they tell you, I want 80% viewability, otherwise I'm not gonna work with you, or if they see less, they just disconnect you. Clicks, self-explanatory, you know, conversions is basically what we say, like the impressions to leads, impressions to actions, you know, and all this like metrics. You have conversion rate. Also, you have click-through rate. So it's basically click to, the impression to click. You track LTV, so it's a lifetime value for users. So for instance, the user came, maybe he left, you know, so his churn is like high. Or there are users that came and they became your clients. So not just one-time customer, they became your clients and they stay with you. So basically your marketing effort is paid off. But, you know, ad operations, it's actually something that I guess most of you don't know at all. And coming back to my big diagram when I was saying how many things happen in a millisecond of the ad exchange, we do track it. And to be honest, that's where we need to optimize. That's where we are losing money. That's where there is fraud. Not here, but here also, but a bit later. So for instance, request. So request is actually the one that, you know, how, when the publisher makes a call to the ad exchange. And that's important, you know, because sometimes the publisher server is making a call, but it's not returning anything. So then something is wrong. It could be a technical issue, or it could be demand issue as well, that, you know, there is a website of, well, let's make a stupid example, porn, and you have sports brands. I mean, well, it can work, but in the end, it's all about targeting match. So every step matters, and it could be an error of every step as well. So we track the bids, we track the wins, we track fill rate. Fill rate is actually how many times the requests came and how many ads I was serving. And that's the most important metric for media buyers, because we want to see like if this connection actually works, if we need to change our waterfall, what should we do? So it's, everything could be optimized on the programmatic level. And you have errors like targeting, as I said, you know, that, you know, publisher is making a call, but I don't have this kind of brands. I'm not connected to these verticals. Or you have win errors, so that's more technical. And also, that's important, timeout. And timeout, well, when it's just loading, and nothing is happening, so timeout. So something also on the technical level. And another metric I want to pay attention to is actually discrepancy. And I don't know, do you know the term discrepancy? Yeah? What is it?
Well, that there's a difference between what you want and what you get.
Yeah, exactly. So basically discrepancy in our term, it's when publisher, for instance, tells, it's a real story, like publisher will say, I showed 2,000 ads, I want my money. And demand is saying, no, it's 1,000, and exchange saying, oh, it's 1,500. What to do? But there are actually rules and regulations on this matter as well. How can you resolve this kind of conflict? And that's where we come, regulations and standards, but not regulations yet. ASA, Advertising Standard Authority. It was, I believe, 1996 or something. No, it's even before 1992. It's kind of self-regulatory authority. So these are not like regulations. These are more standards and recommendations. How can we do it? What can be done in terms of advertising and in terms of integration? So basically, ASA, it's more about rules on the advertising creative. And I mean, there were some rules existing already because, as you remember, TV advertising was existing, and then we had journals. So they had to kind of, balance and regulate, what you can say, what you can't say, when you can't push. And for instance, in Forex, you have this make money funnel when the guy is saying give me $100, I return you 1,000. It's not allowed anymore, but that was a make money funnel that was existing for many, many years.
We have another 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna sum it up. So, and IAB protocol, so that's something that that's a main authority, that dictates the protocols for the integrations parts. But the funny part that they released the complete protocol only this year. And basically, IAB is the one that's saying that, okay, you allow 10 to 15% discrepancy, otherwise, it's not valid. So you have fraud and you have invalid traffic, and it can be bot traffic and zero viewability traffic. So you have domain spoofing, for instance, so that's more like when you hide the domain and you have all these fake leads and sales and metrics. So coming to the digital marketing channels, I would like to skip and actually say that the nature of the marketing channels became super abusive because of the human factor and the technology. And we always think that, try to balance between the human factor and technology. So regulations came into place. GDPR is the one that I guess everyone knows, and that was a year, oh my god, I remember that year, when a lot of people lost money, they lost their jobs because they were doing fraud. That was an easy one. And actually there is another act that's coming next year, so it's a Digital Service Act and a Digital Market Act. So it's still being formed, and let's see what's gonna happen. The difference between first-party data and third-party data, so basically all this cookie stuff, that's moving away, so there's the third-party data, that was flowing, but actually the future is for the first-party data, actually, because that's the one that we are explicitly consenting to share, with advertisers, and they can use it within their data management platform to actually optimize campaigns. So what is your definition for Web3? And since we have really, really little time, may I ask you, what is your definition for Web3?
Oh, good question. So my definition of Web3 is a different mindset around how you experience life online.
I love it, because most of the people, when you say Web3, they say about blockchain, crypto, NFT, and VR, metaverse, okay, all these buzzwords. But actually Web3 is all about democratization, freedom of choice, ownership, and security. And every industry has its own approach, and solution to solve this kind of problems. What is Web3 marketing for you as well? I guess it's more about meta reality, but actually coming to the evolution. There was an era of the web, of the website. There was an era of applications, and now we have the era of metaverse. So nothing is actually changing. We are still in the early development stage. It will be maturing, but That's just a new social channel, it's just a new tool, it's an extension. It's not substitution, maybe a little bit, but it's more an extension to our reality. And what the industry does offer now in terms of advertising, it's more like Web 2.5 and it's coming from gaming industry because, you know, they were the first with like the immersive technologies and like providing this experience, but metaverse is not a game. And in-game advertising is a really Web 2 format, and you can see it's like this kind of banner, you know, like in the game. It's not programmatic, it's not real-time bidding. They were firstly putting, you know, manually, you know, coming back to the history, and they still do it this way. So golden rule for marketing, and it's more like, you know, coming from a background and coming from an experience of marketing, you always have stages. You have brand awareness, you have nurturing, you have lead generation, you have innovation. So at every stage, it matters. So it's really important to have a base. And this base is going to serve the right ads to right audience, so showing the right content. And basically, we're coming to the reinvention of the advertising. And we believe that advertising has to become seamless and non-intrusive. And basically, you need to find a new ways of customer engagement in this digital world. And our vision on the ecosystem coming from my team is basically different layers and a peer-to-peer connection between brands, publishers, and users that's being facilitated by the layer of the ad requests and money and transactions. And it's more about the open protocol and open exchange. As I said, IAB released the standard only this year, guys. After all these years, when people created mess, there was a lot of fraud, and we are again at the edge to run into Web 2 again, because there is no protocol. So the user anonymity and the contextual targeting is another important point, because actually in Web 3 we are anonymous, you know, and either we need to explicitly consent that we want to get the relevant content, or we are going back to roots of contextual advertising, which was working perfectly until the tech giants realized we could do better. Like, you know, when Twitter was launched, was amazing, perfectly targeted ads and relevant content, and you know, like I've been talking to a lot of people from US, they loved advertising. They loved advertising on Twitter. And in Web3, current marketing channels are more about like, you know, referrals and NFTs and virtual real estate, ambassador programs. So, but important point here is actually that we are trying to build communities. We are trying to build the tribes. And that's important because it's, again, we're coming to quality and not quantity. Because the problem right now is that all the communities are so overwhelming. You have so many Discord channels, so many Twitters. You as a human, you can't keep up. And you don't want to be part of one community. You want to be part of a lot of communities. And you know, another thing is that we are in the bear market, and the bear market is actually very good. It's very good because it's a time for cleanup. It's a time to get back to fundamentals. Coming back to the golden rules, you know, brand awareness. We need quality, not quantity. And when you have all the steps really aligned in your marketing strategy, you're going to be fine. Don't rush for everyone, because, you know, still the audience is being driven by the word of mouth and FOMO effect. You know, we still really like FOMO sometimes. So no one knows which shape the internet will take. But again, as I said, we can't cancel Web 2, huh? It's still there. We need a transition. And we have to talk more about data, about security, about privacy, biometric data, and also keeping our kids safe. So, thank you so much. And yeah, you can scan the QR code, you can get this presentation if you want to, you can watch it, you can always reach me out, MDAddicts. Also subscribe to our Telegram channel. We have a lot of announcements and nice articles, so please. Thank you so much, guys.
Great, so thank you very much. By the way, I was working at CISMEC. We talked about it.
Yes,
one of the
yes,
biggest
yes.
ad server in the world, the third. Yeah, so it was Google, Facebook, and CISMEC.
Yeah.
And it was 2015, and they collapsed, which is another story. The biggest, yeah, I'm talking like brands like Nike and Toyota. And so that's another like whole conversation. How this market is not very. They were bleeding money from day zero, basically. So let's take a break.
Yes.
Like a couple of minutes. Shira can serve beer, and then like Pablo and Ksenia, like 10 minutes top. And the whole idea is not really to pitch, I think it's a practice place. It's a place to showcase, maybe ask for help, collaboration, ideas, feedback, which we will not have time. So it's not like we are not CV, so VC, sorry, CV. We're not VC. Yeah.
That's the best one.
So we're not trying to judge people. It's more about giving them the space to express themselves and to look for collaboration. So that's the spirit. So let's take a quick break and then 10 minutes each, and then you can stay, hang around, or help us to clean up. Thanks.
So you want